Good morning, everyone, for Tuesday, September 14th. Happy to see everyone here this morning. Hopefully everyone's doing really well. Just want to remind everyone that this class is recorded for you to view over again, or for those that aren't attending to be able to view. Okay, let's get everything set up here. Make sure I know what I'm doing. I had my closed captions or transcript turned on, so it's a bit difficult. It's distracting me. I know the first few minutes we get lots of different people entering into the class, so let's see what's going on here. I'm on campus today in my office in Orillia, which is a change, but this is the way it's going to be from now on, which is nice. Back on campus, really back in the GCSA office, handing out Grizzly gear after this class, so I'm hoping I don't get interrupted. I'm in sort of a back office that's a little bit private, but the lights are off out front, but I don't think I'll be interrupted, but please excuse me if I do. I'll make sure that I'm the only one in the office. That's why I'm just letting you know that. I think I'm still sharing. Am I still sharing? Yes, I am. Let me just shut the sharing off. There we go. Okay. Good. Today is week 2. We got through week 1 okay. I guess maybe let's see what I want to do right now just to get started. I always like to find out how everyone's doing as far as how you're feeling. It's you've been probably attended all your classes now because it is Tuesday. You missed the first Monday, but you got to your class yesterday. Now, if everyone knows how, I wasn't sure if I gave you a good tour of Teams last week, but up at the top, or I'm not sure how it looks on yours, but you know where the chat is, you can raise your hand and icon, a few different emojis, and you can turn on live captions if you like. If you hit the 3 buttons and go down on the list, and you can turn on live captions if you want to read what I'm saying. And everyone has pretty good, their screen names look really good, so I know who's attending, which is, I don't take attendance or anything like that, but it's good to know who is here, so I can ask you a question if I need to. But let's just start in by me asking you how you're feeling, but today, and just say, instead of saying good or all right, or I feel nice, I feel everything's nice, everything's good. Tell me how you're feeling. Some of you may remember I do pick different things to ask you. So today, just tell me how you're feeling by using the weather. So I know today is going to be actually supposed to get kind of warm, and there's actually a risk of tornado in the Orillia area. At least that's what my weather app says. So tell me how you're feeling by using the weather. So it might be, you're feeling kind of cloudy today, or maybe you're feeling sunny and bright, or maybe you're feeling a little overcast. So use the chat and let me know how you're feeling today. I'm going to say that, how am I feeling today? Regards to the weather. I think I'm kind of feeling okay. Sirkin feeling like there's a thunderstorm. Oh, stay out of his way. Brandon's a bit gloomy. Okay. It's kind of what the weather looks like right now. I would say in this where I am, it's a little bit gloomy. I drove up from Barrie up to Orillia. Ian's feeling pretty sunny. Very good. That's good to know. Pretty sunny is always a good way to feel today. Overcast. We have a guest. I don't know who the guest is on our chat. Maybe you can read. Who is that? Let me see here. Yeah, one person you could rename yourself. I don't know who that is. It just says guest on your. Let's see. Okay, we have. What else do we have? Who else? What else is the comment? Sorry, I'm just letting a few other people in. Cloudy in Lebanon. Kind of too sunny. Missed the cold. Khalid, is that how you're feeling? You're kind of feeling sunny, or is that just the weather in your area? How are you feeling though? Are you feeling the same? Someone's feeling either cloudy or sunny. There's like, I guess cloudy is you're not sure what's happening because you can't really see the horizon. Maybe it's just overcast and you're a bit foggy this morning. Maybe there's just a lot of information in your head from the first week of classes, and it would be good if those clouds could clear and you could see the sun. Okay. All right, how many we have in the class now? I think we're up to about 20 or so. Okay, good. Just gonna see here. Okay. Oh. All right, so today I'm just going to share my screen here or not. I think so. Oops. Sorry, hold on a second. Hopefully we won't have too many technical issues this morning because, hold on, we're just using a different computer today than I did last week, so I'm trying to, I think we're good. All right. Okay. Okay. So like last week, we'll have try to do breaks at 10 to the hour. So 8:50 and 9:50. Not sure how long the class is going to go today, only because we are running this VAC. It's called GoVax. It's a bus that's coming on campus in Orillia, and they're starting at 10 o'clock, and I'm the main contact for the GoVax bus. So if you want to get vaccinated on campus today in Orillia, you can, but they might come and look for me. Another reason to get interrupted, but I will, hopefully they'll be able to look after themselves until the class is over. And let's see, last week we had a pretty good week, just a little bit of an introduction on the core product extensions and ancillary spaces to help you with your first assignment. We will be going into groups today. We're going to talk about, I'm going to get you to search for a controversial facility or athletic facility article. So it's really not too hard to do. There's tons of them out there. I was going to say millions, but there's tons of them, thousands of them. You can easily find them. We'll go over assignment 1 again and a few other, well, that's not a true statement there, but when you're in groups, if I say there's 10 minutes or you have 15 minutes or you have 6 minutes, try to have one person that's looking after the time of your that you have left, so a timer, so just so they can, so that someone can alert you if you're running out of time. It's like, oh, we have 2 minutes left, we should get moving on, we should finish this up, sort of thing. A recorder because we will be reporting back to our main group on what you have found. A facilitator. So a facilitator, person that can lead the group, facilitate the group, moderate the group, and a presenter. So when you're coming back to the group, that someone is presenting the information. So kind of figure that out when you start meeting in a group. So it's the same thing if you go to a meeting. It happens the same thing in real life. If you are, there's a timer, recorder, facilitator, presenter. Okay, just so your groups are organized, and introduce yourselves if you don't know each other. I know many of you will know each other, but some of you won't. So, take a minute to introduce yourselves to each other. Whenever we do pop into groups, I will divide everyone, but then I will go into each group just for a few seconds, just to check that everything's okay, because it's tough to communicate otherwise if I don't pop into the groups. So that's good to let you know that. Now let's get into this, and I'm hoping. Am I sharing my screen or not? I don't even, because I'm on a different computer. Maybe somebody can tell me here. Maybe somebody has already told me. Am I sharing my screen? Can somebody give me thumbs up or not? No. Okay, that's what I was thinking here. Sorry about that. Let me go here. Okay, that should be better now, maybe? How about now? Is that being shared now? Yes, okay. And you're just seeing the simple, okay, Nick, thank you, and Jack, good. Okay. So let's just talk about a topic that maybe many of us have seen as we've gone through the pandemic with COVID, and the way sports facilities have changed and adapted to the health and the safety restrictions and changes. But how have sports athletic facilities been affected by COVID? So I can just start up by saying, back 18 months ago, March 2019, I don't know, 2020, sorry. Because you lose track of years, it's getting bad. Okay. March 2020, when we kind of all got locked down, and sports facilities, sports teams all basically stopped for a little while, and had to figure things out. So some of the first things we saw was when sports started back up again. We had things like baseball, putting the cutouts. I imagine people paid for these to have their photo put up there, or maybe they had a contest or something like that. But that's like is that a Mets? Yeah, it's the Mets. But then baseball changed, and this was Texas Rangers opening day this year. You can see that this was a sold out stadium, and there is no social distancing. Does it look like? I think from what I have heard, that was just a sold out stadium for that one. Unless anyone else can tell me different on that. Any baseball followers? Now, can anyone tell me what the restrictions are now in baseball for attending? Is it different everywhere? Is it, are they playing in front of fans?
Then there's zero things like you don't have to be 6 feet apart, and you don't have to wear a mask, yada yada yada. If you're not vaccinated, then you have to be all the COVID restrictions. And for the Texas Rangers thing, the state said that there was zero, you don't have to wear a mask or anything like that. This was in Texas, so.
Okay. Now, Jack, have you been to the Rogers Center to see a Blue Jays game this year?
No, but I am going the 29th this month.
Okay. Great. Well, hopefully they continue their winning ways in September up to the 29th. So pretty exciting right now if anyone's been watching the Blue Jays play this past 4 or 5 games. Okay. And Sirkan says 50% in Toronto. Is that correct? Yeah, 50% in Toronto. And I know it was just recently, I'm not sure if it was a month or I don't know how many weeks ago it was that the Rogers Center allowed the Jays to play again. I think it was mostly because of the over-the-border travel for the players, but that is one thing with baseball. So you can see it's definitely regional. When we're looking at basketball, maybe you remember the basketball NBA last year before they finished their season, they had the TV screens in the audience, or that was actually people live. I'm not sure how that worked either, but you could either log in or get your chance to be on the screens. So the players felt like they were still playing in front of fans. Then there is, Golden State versus the Clippers on March 10th. Looks like to me, another sold out arena. So they have changed into that respect. But when you're looking at, NHL, only towards the end of the playoffs, in the playoffs last year, I think we saw the fans in Montreal appear. And even in Toronto, I think there was a few fans. It was healthcare workers. It was like 3,000 people they allowed in. Montreal had a bit more, like 20% or 15% or 30%, something like that. But you can see how the arena here had adapted. They put some coverings over the first sections or first 10 rows of the arena. And the big backdrop there, it looked like Pittsburgh and I'm not sure who the other team was on this one. Pittsburgh and Philly, it looks like. Game, and probably the Pittsburgh arena, but don't know for sure. But you can see there that they did adapt the arena to allow for COVID accommodations. And here, this is a more recent one. This is just 1 month ago. NHL banned team contact with fans. So every time there's a new wave of COVID, you see that the sports react with something different. I would say hockey's been fairly conservative, at least what I've seen, but again, the US does things a bit different than in Canada, and each area is very regional. So what else we have here? The NHL unveils COVID-19 protocol for their season, which includes penalties on unvaccinated players. I wonder if they get 2 minutes for being unvaccinated. And they sit in the box. I don't know. It's just funny, I guess. Okay, events canceled because of COVID. So we had some interesting things that are canceled or rescheduled. So we'll note that the Olympics did take place in this past summer. What did you all feel about the Olympics being offered the way it was offered? Anyone watched any of the Olympics this summer? Feel free to use the chat if you did, if you can. I did tune in a few times. I know it's always, maybe I say I'm not going to watch them, and then I find out, oh geez, there's this women, they're swimming and they're winning lots of medals, or they're rowing, or the women's soccer team was pretty exciting if anyone ended up watching those games. But it was different without having the fans there. Like there was really no fans at all. I wonder how it is for the athletes as well in these facilities, like playing to an empty stadium. Maybe they're just getting used to it now. I know when I was watching hockey last winter, they were adding in the crowd noises. I wasn't sure if that was to just the TV audience or if it was in the stadium, but a little bit different. And other things that got canceled, you can see that the CFL full season got canceled, but I believe they did start up this year. Haven't been paying much attention to that. Where were the Jays playing last year? NHL, we know that the Canadian teams turned into a North Division. Well, that was kind of unique. I don't know if we'll ever see the North Division again. Maybe we will this year. I don't know. I haven't heard. Has anyone heard about if the NHL is going to have a North Division again this year, or are they going back to the older divisions? Someone on the call in the class here has got to know that. Okay, back to normal. Thanks, Nick and Matthew. No North Division. Okay, Ian. Good. Okay. Wasn't sure about that. I just heard yesterday Austin Matthews had a wrist injury, off-season wrist injury. Guy's always getting in trouble. Okay. One second here. High school. How about high school, college, and university? Well, you're asking me, or let's see if I can talk about that for a moment. We know that, or I have heard that college, Georgian, will be having some, thanks, Matthew. The college will be having some sports. They are looking at a modified schedule for golf and I believe rugby, but I haven't heard confirmed for rugby or not. I think they are going to have some rugby. The problem with rugby, I guess they're looking at is it's a contact sport, obviously. So they were, I don't know if they made a final decision on that. Other sports are mostly by invitation tryouts. So if it's basketball, volleyball, your indoor court sports, I believe are by invitation. Last time I had heard, but I don't know about high school, college. Interesting to find out how that's developing as well. Let's hope that we can get some sports being played. Are there any updates on hockey, intramural? You know what, Matthew, I did actually inquire. Let me just make a note of that. I'll during our break, I'll chat with. Actually, I did. I think I asked last class to the person that looks after it, and the one issue that we have at the college is that many staff have been redeployed to different positions. So the person, Matthew, I don't know if, I guess you're second year, obviously. Not obviously, but I think you're second. And Sterling, who looks after the intramural hockey, is in a different role right now. So I did ask him, he wasn't sure. I know I run my own hockey, and I'm actually going to get into that in a moment. Maybe I'll just put that on the side burner for a second, and then, or let me just see here. Actually, I'll just jump down to this. So this is right from the Barrie hockey permits, because I just received my permits, and so just for those that are interested in how the arenas are going to be running in Barrie currently, you can get into the arena 20 minutes ahead of time. So it was 15 for the standard was 15 minutes. You can only get in before you get on the ice. So, for an old guy like me trying to get ready and put my skates on, 15 minutes was sometimes enough, but sometimes a few minutes late. So 15 minutes. Maximum participants is 38. So that's really kind of cool that it's up to 38 participants. So it's basically, if you're playing pickup hockey, you get lots of room there. 2 dressing rooms, 12 in each. It was 10, but they moved it up to 12 with 7 chairs outside. I guess they're talking doing the 7 shares because of the team sizes if you're playing a game against another team. And proof of passing online screening. So even for the City of Barrie arenas and multi-use facilities, they are doing online screening, just like the Safe at Georgian app that we have at Georgian. Now, I was wondering, has everyone here filled out their Safe at Georgian? Has anyone not used the Safe at Georgian app? Safe at Georgian app is the screening app that they have at the college. Also, if you're planning on coming on campus, you will need to use that. There's the 2 portions, the screening portion, which is a daily screening, and then there's your vaccine passport. So you'll need to do that to be on campus. And they're still waiting the provincial regulation for vaccine passports, so there'll be more information on that once they have more details. So that's sort of what's happening with hockey in Barrie, but we don't know what's happening with hockey at Georgian. All right. So let's look at this. Loss of revenue in sports due to coronavirus. So this is in the billions of dollars, and I know it's quite small. Sorry about that. But $3.25 billion lost because from fan spending on pro sports. So however, I guess buying tickets and that sort of thing. So 3.25 billion. All right, that's quite a bit. Tourism related to youth sports, 2.4 billion. Okay, lots of cash there. National TV revenue lost, $2.2 billion. So I wonder all this money's being spent if it's being lost here, or maybe it's just not being spent. And then wages for ticket takers, beer vendors, and other stadium and arena employees. So I guess $370 million. Lots of money being lost. But let's hope that's changing. I guess with more fans coming into the arenas, these numbers I'm sure are dropping if you're looking at a 12-month rolling average. So every month they would take the last month off. So once we get through September, they'll take September 2020 off, and they'll add September 2021 off for their stats. So we know that should be changing. What else do we have here? Top professional leagues are projected to lose millions of dollars, okay, or billions. So Major League Soccer, NHL, NBA, NFL, 5.5 billion was the projected loss for those sports, almost $6 billion. Cricket, rugby, football for the UK sports, 850 million. The Spanish La Liga soccer, $1 billion. And the soccer, lots of different soccer, but I guess if you group the soccers together, there's probably $2.5 billion. And then the Olympics, $6 billion. And this is projected from last year. It was May 2020. I wonder if they did lose that much just because of the no fans being at the Olympics. So I imagine there was quite a bit lost there. Okay, that's good. So this is sort of another thing that's happening. You see that, I don't know if that's still going on, but misting or spraying the seats down to clean them ahead of time. So these are tough times for people, the workers. We've all had, maybe you didn't have you're supposed to be working, you've lost your job. Think of all the people that did work in the stadiums that did lose their positions. Now, maybe they weren't the highest paying jobs, but what's the sort of the cyclical issue that's happening in Ontario right now, or in Canada, is the COVID benefit. It's I'm not sure when that is going to expire, but maybe that will, once that expires, inspire. Once it expires, it might inspire some people to go back to their lower paying positions. I'm not sure, maybe some of you are in that position, being able to collect some money that you might have been making while you're at your position. Maybe not. Okay. I'm going to go. So right now we are about 8:31. We've talked a little bit about how sports facilities have been affected by COVID and the pandemic. I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can do that. Okay, so if you go to Blackboard, you will see, I think I have this open. Right here. Okay, so you will find this under assignments, I believe, at the bottom. So what we're going to do is going to go into break into groups, and I want you to find in your group, find one article that is a controversial athletic facility article. There's going to be 3 or 4 of you in the group. Find a controversial article about an athletic facility online, share it with the rest of your group, take a few minutes to review the article individually. So the headline, the date of the article, so try to find something in the past year. So not older than August 2020. Location of the controversy, so was it, Baraboo, Wisconsin, or was it Fort Lauderdale? Type of facility, the web page, and what is the main theme of the article? And do you give us your opinion on that as a group? So this is group work here, and you will be saving. Somebody will save that and email it to me. Okay, but we will also come back and discuss this when we get back together. So I'll give you, I'm going to say 15 minutes, but I will pop into each group to make sure that everything's going okay. So any questions before I divide everyone into smaller group breakout rooms? Okay, let's see. Automatically, how many rooms do I want? Let's see, I'm just trying to. Okay, if there's, let me just double check on how many people are in the room or in the group. Cancel. Hold on. There are 22. Okay. Back here. I'm going to say there's going to be 5 rooms. Okay, so I'm going to create the rooms, and you will be popping into a breakout room. I will jump into each room to make sure everyone's doing okay. All right, so here I go. I'm going to create the rooms right now. Okay, and I think I have to open them. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Everyone should be moving over to the room. One more room to open. Looks like room number 1. I think it's still opening. Hey, Alex, are you still in the main room with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't know how to switch over to the other room.
Let me see. I see you're the only one left here. Let me just
Can
see
you
if
hear
I.
me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's not too bad.
Okay, sweet.
Just going to see if I can move you or not. I don't know. It does show it's open. You assign. Let me see if I can assign. Maybe you jumped in. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna put you there. If for some reason you didn't get added to a room. Oh, it says you're in room 1. You can't move over, eh?
No, I don't even see the other options for other teams.
Select people to choose. Okay. Let me see if I can. So I'm gonna unassign you, and then I'm gonna reassign you. Try a different. Okay, it's interesting. I'm not sure what's happening here.
Is it them again?
Oh, here, move. No, it should be okay. There we go. Like this. Trying to move you now.
Oh, okay. It says I'm in 10 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna disappear in a second.
Yep, okay. Something's on hold here. NT, okay. One participant failed to move. Okay, Nicholas. Nicholas, are you there? Hmm.
We're put into both change rooms.
Okay, I think we have everyone back in the main room.
Yeah, we can go.
All right, let me see. Everyone's back. Good. Was not too seamless, but the transition, but it worked. I hadn't done too many breakout rooms in Teams before, but it seemed to work okay. I know we had some people had a difficult time hearing, and but it was a good opportunity to test your mics and your earbuds or whatever you're using, and also to get used to using the chat. So that was good. And where do we hand it in? Yeah, please email it to me. I'll just, I don't know if you have my email or not, but we're just going to talk about them quickly. Okay, there's my email in the chat. How about we start with group one and just tell us somebody, whoever was decided on as being the presenter, could just tell us like a bit of an overview of what article you chose and why. Is there a person from group one that has is able to do that? Maybe you're still on mute if you're talking. Hello, group one. Alec or?
Yep. Sorry. Hello.
Yeah,
I can
hi.
go.
All
I
right.
didn't really come up with something. All right.
Thanks,
So
Alec.
we chose an article on Carleton University and how at first they took away scales in their rec center so people couldn't weigh themselves, and then eventually they put them back due to controversy and people weren't really into it. So we ended up agreeing with them. I know for all of us in group one, we preferred to have scales, and they ended up putting them back just because they called it a basic fitness tool, and we agreed with that.
Is the controversy about sort of body image and that sort of angle?
Yeah, so they took them away because of they sort of referenced the snowflake generation and how it shouldn't be like the only tool to measure how fit you are. That's not the point. But they ended up putting them back because it is at least a part of fitness and health.
Mm-hmm. It would almost be to me like taking mirrors out of the change room.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, like you know, that also people use mirrors to judge how well they look
Right.
or how fit they look. So yeah, and I think there has been some things at the Georgian campus. I know they did cover up the mirrors once or twice just to sort of a positive image day or something like that. But yeah, okay, interesting. Thank you. Okay, group two. If you didn't know what numbers you were, I know Serkan, you're in group two. Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have group two.
Okay. Is it Ariana?
Oriana, yep.
Oriana. Okay. And are you the presenter?
Yeah, I filled out the form, so I have it all in front of me. So.
All right. Well, go ahead.
So we chose the Montreal Canadiens. Chose to allow 3,500 fans into their home game on round 3, even though public health was against it. For agreeing with it, we said depends. Basically because whether we let them in or not, they're still going to gather outside the stadium in a large group of people. And if we are doing vaccines and rapid tests, if they can prove it's negative, I don't see anything wrong with the fans attending, especially if they're in the stadium at a controlled number and controlled seatings of like every other 2 seats. At least we know that there's like 6 feet between them, but they can all still be together celebrating, as opposed to in a giant huddle outside, really close contact, and probably not wearing masks because they are outside.
Good. Okay. That was definitely controversial at the time it happened. All right. Thanks for sharing that. And group 3 is Brendan and Ian.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pull it up here.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a city, town of Coaldale was making a new $50 million. It's a joint school and rec center project to build those 2 things. And basically, people weren't happy about it because they wanted to see an expanded wetland in the area instead of those 2 things. So basically, we said we agree with the people who aren't very happy because sounds like there were better options for location based off the article. There's a petition with over 2,300 signatures on it saying we don't want it here. And yeah, like I said, the expanded wetland would be better for the town than the rec center based on what the people want.
Okay. Were there different locations to choose from, or was that just?
It didn't mention any locations, but it sounded like based on what the people were saying, there were. It doesn't specify for that part of things, but yeah.
Okay.
It's right off the highway and train tracks apparently, so they weren't very happy with that either.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. And group 4 is Mandeep and John, I think.
So we did an article on the so it was me, Stavros, Mandeep, and Harmeet. We did an article actually from yesterday or from Sunday, coming out of Washington D.C., like the DMV area at FedEx Field. The Washington football team stadium had a pipe burst over top of the fans, leaving the fans under a rainwater, a rainfall of pretty much raw sewage. At first, it claimed to be raw sewage. The sewage pipe burst and was literally raining over the fans, ruining their experience. But the stadium came out saying it was rainwater that had been stored. But even though the DMV area hadn't seen rain in the past 2 weeks, they still stuck with that claim, saying the fans were all right. It was just water and it was all good. But this is week 1 of the NFL season, and this happened. And the FedEx Field, it's still the 22nd. It's the 22nd oldest stadium, but it was built in 1997. And this past year was the first complete renovation that the stadium had seen. So they got new sod and like new dirt underneath. So whether it's a problem with their new drainage system or whatnot, if that even got updated, or obviously the article didn't say that. They just said they got a renovation. But yeah, week 1 of the NFL season, their stadium has a complete misfire, and they end up ruining some fans' days by raining sewage on them. You could imagine how that went for them. The stadium, FedEx Field, came out upgrading all the fans that kind of got rained on. They kind of updated them to a suite, and they said they would give them tickets to a game of their choice later on in the season. So we kind of just obviously we kind of, it was kind of a depends, but we mostly just disagreed, saying like, the stadium obviously didn't know this was going to happen, but at the same time, it's their responsibility. Like the fans also didn't know this was going to happen, so they were kind of the victims of it, and the stadium is going to be liable for this to make sure it doesn't happen again. Like, some people might not want to come back, or I don't know, but yeah, so we kind of figured it was the stadium at fault, and yeah, it was not a good day for the fans.
Interesting article. That's good. And even that's not that old of a stadium when you're thinking it was, would you say 23 years or 22 years? It's not that old, even being one of the oldest. It's pretty amazing when you think of like the Rogers Center. I think is around the same age, from the late 90s, if I recall. But yeah, that's pretty terrible that happened. All right, thank you for sharing that. And room 5, we have Khaled, and who else is in that room? Nick, Matthew, Christian.
Okay. I guess I'll talk. Our issue was about a article about a gym scale controversy in Carleton University in Ottawa. So at the start, the school only put weight scales in the primary workout area and only in the female change room, but not the men's. And then from what I'm understanding is there was backlash for that, saying why isn't it in both the male and female? And then they put it in both change rooms, and then again more backlash saying it like promotes body shaming or body issues, so to speak. And so yeah, it was a never ending battle. And so do you want us to answer if we agree or not, or?
Yes, please. That'd be good.
Yeah. We discussed, and we believe that they should be in both change rooms. It's an optional tool. It's not like the weight scale is saying you have to step on me every time you come in this change room. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's a basic fitness tool. Everyone should be aware of their weight number. Like it's not something that like you're centered around, but it's a representation of your health. And again, no one's forcing you to use it, but if they want it, it's there. And it's part of our physical health. So something that you don't need to like center your thoughts around, but I think everyone should be aware. So
Okay.
we agree. We basically were saying we it's, I guess, yes or no. I guess it would be, I guess, that'd be yes for us or no. It's hard to figure it. Like we just think they should be in both change rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Matthew. Well, that's interesting that there was 2 groups chose actually the same article, because I think those maybe room 1 and room 5 picked the same ones, but and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Just that was just interesting that that happened. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for doing all that, everyone. What we'll do right now is just take a 10-minute break. So we'll go to it's 9:13. So we'll come back at 9:23. So we'll give you a bit of a break, and then we'll get into some of the slides I have ready. Okay. So 9:23, we'll be back. All right, it's 9:20. Wow, it just changed to 9:24. I guess I am a little bit late. Sorry about that, but I'm back and class is back up. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's share. Actually, I want to just share this for 1 minute, see if there's any questions about assignment one. Assignment one, we did go over it last week. Due next Friday, the 24th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5 questions to go over, and it's worth 10% of your mark. Are there any questions about assignment one? Okay, I'm not hearing any questions. If there are any questions between now and next week, please send me a message. Okay. Next, here we go. I'm going to go to right here. Okay. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, last week we talked about the core product extensions and ancillary spaces, but today we'll talk about the product. So what is the product of a facility, of a recreation facility, of a sports facility? Accomplish a specific directive via mission, vision, values, goals, and objectives. So what is that facility's mission, vision, values, goals, and objectives? So if we're looking at a City of Barrie facility, you may have to look right up to like the Department of Recreation may have these statements written out. It may have to go right to the City of Barrie to find out what those are. But if you went to possibly the Rogers Center, and you might see that, what's their mission, vision, value, goals for that? Maybe it's to provide entertainment or something like that. Because most people would go to view a sport and not play at a sport, right? Core product is the primary interest of an organization, primary interest of a facility. Okay, core product extensions support the core product and add to its success. And does anyone remember the difference between a core product extension and ancillary space? What's the key difference between the two? Please drop that into the chat for me. If somebody tell me what the key difference is between the core product extension and ancillary space. Has to do with finances or money. Can somebody please write in the chat? Or unmute yourself and tell me, what's the difference? Nobody? We have silence out there with between 20 of us. There's nobody in the class that can tell me what the difference is. Matthew.
Yeah. I'll take a stab at it. I was thinking about it. Primary interest, so say maybe like a hockey rink, but it has maybe other facilities attached to it. Is that kind of going, or like maybe a swimming pool? Like it has a swimming pool, but it also has other facilities, and then product extensions would be other facilities within the facility.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track a little bit?
You're on the right track. Yeah. You are right. Like the core product extensions do provide other space to participate in the facility.
Okay, I have an example. I worked at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center in Scarborough, where the 2015-20 games were being held. So it's primarily like it's used by the U of T students. It's got like a gym and everything. But the main facility like downstairs is a massive swimming pool. It's where Team Canada swims, and so it's primarily a pool, but they have like a bunch of workout rooms that surround the pool area for dryland training that helps support, you know, swimming and the athletes in that aspect, right? Because
Right.
we realize that that, you know, in order to do well at a sport, you need to do training outside of that sport as well, not just doing it. That would obviously help, right? Like for hockey teams, for example, like when I played hockey, we had dryland training in the gyms before our season started up, just to get us going before we get on our skates. So that was
Excellent. So those are excellent examples of core product extensions. All right. Thanks, Matthew, for taking a stab at that. I should maybe remind everyone in the class that, you know, when you come to class, you know, participation is expected. So, you know, I may call on you just randomly just to, you know, get your opinion. You know, everyone has an opinion, even if it's not my opinion, it doesn't matter. So how about ancillary spaces? Does anyone remember what an ancillary space is? Somebody tell me what an ancillary space is. Somebody's got to have an idea.
I was thinking it's like
Oh, Jack, you're just a bit muffled. Sorry.
Can you see me now?
Just a little bit muffled. It's like your microphone might be covered up or something. Okay. Ancillary space, someone?
Is it like the reception desk that supports the core product but it doesn't create any revenue?
Brendan, perfect. See, that was easy, right? It supports the core product but does not bring in any revenue. It's exactly what I wanted to hear. Core product extensions would be revenue generating. Ancillary spaces, no revenue. So reception desk, possibly change rooms, parking, that sort of thing. Thank you, Brendan. Okay, as we go down our list here, okay, the next thing, so if you're looking at a core product, we have baseball. For a baseball stadium, baseball field, the core product would be baseball. You know, maybe they also play something else in the, you know, maybe they use the field for, I don't know, they play a small game of ultimate frisbee in the grassed area or something like that. But the core product is baseball on this one. If you're at a golf course, core product extension, which brings in revenue, would be the pro shop. So you're selling clubs, hats, you know, golf balls, any other sort of things that go along with golf. Could be selling your greens fees as well. Maybe also is there. So core product extensions is your revenue generating products and services that complement the core product are also called core product extensions. So complement the core product extensions bring in revenue. These extensions play an important role in meeting user needs. Core product extensions are similar to ancillary spaces in that they support the core product of the facility. So they are similar, but one brings in revenue, one does not. That's the main difference. They can take the form of commodity outlets, food, service, childcare, rental equipment, or checkout. And then we talked about ancillary spaces and ancillary, ancillary, where did I go? Trying to get used to ancillary spaces. Facilities are supported by ancillary spaces, space areas that support the core product. Most facilities, the core product could not be made available to users if the supporting ancillary areas were not there. Ancillary areas do not exist as a source of revenue. The spaces that support the core product and generate revenue are called the core product extension. Okay, I think I've beat that enough. Let's move on to understanding the management. Management can be very involved and complicated. Management has been developed, described, and applied very differently by different professionals, and management establishes a basic practical understanding towards terminology and fundamental concepts. So when we're talking about management, we talk about different staff. So it could be the director, it could be the administrator, it could be the manager. There's all sorts of different terms used, different levels. Could be the coordinator, could be executive director, could be the vice president. There's all sorts of different terms to use for management. So let's see what we have here is defining management. In this, they're using the term management as, I guess it would be a person, not a frontline worker, but administration. So management often is confused with the concept of administration and operation. So management is a goal-oriented system where leadership places emphasis on the people in the process of achieving organizational goals, or those people who participate in the core product. So that is the definition of the management, defining it. And taking both goals and people into consideration allows the establishment of a working description of management that is practical and applicable to all of its facets. And management is influencing resources to obtain a goal. All right, and we have one more slide on describing management here. The most important term in describing management influence is influence. Influence means the power to affect an outcome. Now, I would have to think that any staff in a facility would have the power to affect an outcome. You know, depending on what level you work and what kind of input you provide, you could probably affect the outcome of something. You know, if you're a maintenance worker or a cleaner in a facility, you know, I'm sure you could have some effect on the outcome of your facility. It incorporates the ideals of leadership, representing a modern interpretation of management involving terms such as administrative, direct, and control. I don't know if I really like the word control. I'm more of a manager that likes to lead and provide leadership opportunities for the staff that work in the facility. So that's, management can be defined differently. Now, administrative functions, an administrative person or system represents the executive or upper level personnel in charge of producing a product. So they're talking about administration is a bit different, at a different level than management. So I'd say it'd be the frontline workers, then it'd be the management, and then it'd be the administrative persons. Excuse me. The executive or upper personnel in charge of producing the facility. The four administrative functions are planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. You probably should remember this statement right here, because that will probably be a question on the test. All right, what are the four functions of administration? Planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Okay. When we look at planning, planning is anticipating through thought and, when appropriate, documentation, all facets that should take an organization to an expected level of success. The administrator, one of the functions of planning. A plan is a predetermined and theoretical way to accomplish set goals and objectives. So planning can be short-term, 1 to 3 years, or long-term, 3 years and beyond. Now, recently at Georgian, we have our strategic plan that most larger businesses have a strategic plan, and a strategic plan is typically about 5 years in length. Now, we did have our strategic plan that went from 2016 to 2021, but they just redid it with 2 more years added. And would anyone think or give me an idea why they think the strategic plan at Georgian has just been extended by 2 years and sort of revamped, but not gone to the full 5 years? Why do you think that this strat plan, which strategic plans are called strat plans, why do you think the Georgian strat plan has only been redesigned for another 2 years and not 5 years. Someone give me an idea. Anyone can just unmute themselves and just give me a thought. You must have some thought of how or why this has happened. Okay, circumstances may change in 2 years since COVID is constantly changing things. That's right, Ian and Circa, and that's correct, because COVID is providing so many changes so quickly. They felt that extending it beyond 2 years would be inappropriate, and with the way things are changing, is that 2 years was long enough at this point. And it should be reevaluated. And usually, if you're looking at the strat plan, it is about a year-long process, or just to redesign it for the next 5 years. So I would say at the end of 2020, at the end of 2022, end of next year, in about a year, they'll start to reevaluate it for 2023 to 2028. In that range, or whatever those 5 years are. And who knows, maybe they won't go 5 years, but it is a lot of work just to do it for 2 years. But what they did was take the one that was existing and then redesign it and repackage it and add new things to it for the next 2 years. So that's sort of what does happen in a strat plan. You look at your current one, but that is why they only went for 2 years. So this planning the short term is kind of, in our circumstance here, planning a long term because of the uncertainty of the future. So with organizing involves recognizing and assigning specific responsibilities to employees and resources, as well as designing areas and time assignments that relate to the product. So that is knowing what your employees' responsibilities are and assigning them specific job functions. Scheduling is efficiently allocating human and physical resources. Okay, scheduling and organizing. Okay, organizing includes establishing a flow chart that reflects the authority structure of an organization. And we're going to get right into the org chart in a second, because an org chart is required for assignment number 1, in case nobody has ever seen an org chart before. I will show you that in a moment. And organizing includes developing policies and procedures and creating facility signage that designates areas and provides information. So developing policies and procedures. And here is what you're looking at for an org chart. So here we show that there's a director at the top, could be the administrator. Then we have our managers right in this area. So with our managers, it could be our golf facilities manager, aquatics facilities manager, aquatic or sports supervisor, sports area manager. So each manager is, in this example, required for each area. And then we have our program coordinator at this level, seasonal staff, youth sports coordinator, and then as we move down, we have the golf course. And this is for, it looks like for a, I guess they have a golf, aquatics, and a sports area in this facility. And then as you move down, we have our seasonal staff, are usually the ones at the bottom of the chart, or temporary or part-time staff. Frontline workers are typically right at the lower part of the chart. And then at the top, you have your administrator, your vice president, your director, and then below them, you have your managers. So if you're looking at the Georgian Athletic Center on campus in Barrie, how would you draw your org chart? What staff do you think, like a position, would be close to the seasonal staff? What type of a position in the athletic center on the Barrie campus, Georgian College, do you think, what positions would be similar to the seasonal staff? Would someone give me something there? volunteers, could be a volunteer. Yeah. I'm not sure how, are there a lot of volunteers in that position, in that facility? There might be some. I think most are paid, but I don't, there might be a few volunteers. What sort of paid positions do you think would be closer to the seasonal staff? And then there's 20 of you on the call. Someone's got to have some other ideas here. Take a stab at it. Throw something out there in the chat. Unmute yourselves. Hockey staff. Okay, cleaners. Thanks, Jack. So I think when you mean like hockey staff, we'd be like talking about maybe the referees. It could be the timekeepers, those sort of thing. For sure, they would be similar to the seasonal staff. The cleaners, Morgan, thank you. The cleaners would be, when you're thinking of that position, there's probably no one else that reports to the cleaners. So we're looking at that point where the bottom portion of an org chart is you're the last person there, nobody reports to you, you're not supervising anyone. So those would be some good examples. How about the front desk staff? So a person that works at the front desk that looks after the reception desk, that memberships or has the what's the used to be called the PAR queue, now it's called the, I don't know, safe to participate or something like that. So they look after that stat. Also, how about if it was the setups crew that does the varsity setups, something like that, they would work in there. Now, if you're looking at this chart, who would be sort of at that supervisor manager level? Who would work? There's about 6 different staff that are at that level that would have part-time staff assisting them with different things. So it could be another example of that sort of seasonal staff on this chart could be your fitness instructors, your group fitness instructors, could be your personal trainers. Hope you're all keeping notes on this. It's going to help you when you're doing your org chart for the athletic facility on the Barrie campus. Also, who else would it be? Could be some photographers or people that take some, could be the mascot. That might fall into those lower ones. The middle ones. So let's talk about those middle managers that, does anyone know any of the staff in the athletic facility? So the person that looks after the fitness center and the group fitness and the personal trainers. So that would be the fitness coordinator. So that's Maria Edwards. Now, if you're looking at the varsity sports, Sterling Ivany, but he might be GM. Yes, Sterling Ivany is the campus recreation coordinator, so he would be one, Sirkin. Thank you. That is one of the 6 people. I'll give you one more of them is Jeff Harris, who looks after his position title would be called intercollegiate coordinator, which is varsity sports, intercollegiate coordinator. So then when we're looking at the top, the division or director, who is the person in that position? What is that position in the athletic center on the Barrie campus? What would you call that position? It's fairly similar across all colleges and universities. There's one position that is usually on the top of your athletic facility. Could someone give me an idea of what that position might be called? How about I give you the first 2 letters? If I say it's the same as Oriana's name, same as her initials, AD.
The athletic director.
Athletic director. Thank you, John. Yes, it's the athletic director is the person you would find at the top. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's your org chart. Now, if you're going to let's say you pick, I just always say Rogers Center because it's just a large one that we're familiar with. It could say BMO or something like that. But when you're looking at an org chart there, you're going to have a lot more positions. You're gonna have concessions, and you're gonna have maintenance. You're probably gonna have a maintenance manager, concessions manager. You're gonna have there's all the sports team, back office that you find that manages the sports teams, and you may have a facilities manager, and you may have a turf manager, and you so on and so on. So those things could happen. So it's much more complicated. But if you're looking at a small arena, let's say you pick Eastview Arena in Barrie, what is the org chart look like for Eastview Arena? Well, you probably have a recreation director, might be at the top, that works out of City Hall. And then it would quickly go down to maybe a arena manager. And then from the arena manager, you may have your ice maintenance staff, and you may have your part-time students that work at the front door screening people as they enter, because that is what I went through at the very beginning of class about the City of Barrie having screeners at their front, the screening app that is actually do have desks set up at all the front doors of their facilities. So that could be more like the seasonal staff at the bottom. Okay, we talked a lot about the org chart. Does anyone have any questions about the org chart, organizational chart? If you Google organizational chart, you'll find all sorts of different examples at different facilities, and you can probably find some blank ones if you really wanted to use one on the internet to fill in for, or there might be an org chart app that you could use as well. All right, so let's go from, we've talked about the planning, organizing. Let's look at directing. And directing is the process of guiding people or groups with an overall management system. Staffing includes recruiting, hiring, training employees. Okay, so directing, that's the directing. So you kind of use that term as far as, I would say, leading employees. Directing is a bit more, I guess, aggressive. Then we have directing here. Directing incorporates these elements. Okay, leadership style, training, delegation, communication techniques, coordination, motivation. That has had a cough. So we are looking at leadership style. Now, as you develop in your skills, in your positions that you take, you will develop a leadership style as well. Will you be a democratic leader? Are you going to be a servant leader? What is your leadership style going to be? Well, everyone will develop their leadership style as they progress in their different positions. Training, so training staff, delegation of responsibilities, communication technique. So, are you more of a face-to-face person? Are you writing out the what you communicate in emails and text messages? Coordination does take a lot of effort to coordinate the facility correctly, and motivation, and then to provide motivation for your staff and everyone else that is in the facility. And then there we have controlling. So controlling can be defined as a process of supervising, assessing, and correcting employee performance and resources to ensure successful product delivery. It is similar to the process of directing, except it focuses more on monitoring resources. Controlling and directing. Okay. Now, delivery operations. Presenting the product to the user is referred to as delivery operations. So your product of your facility that you are delivering, delivery operations integrate the resources and administrative functions that create interest, leading to the product participation or purchase, which results in a user experiencing that affects the success of the product. If we're looking at the delivery operations, have 4 functions. So production, support, auxiliaries, and maintenance. Those are the 4 different areas of delivery operations. And production is the basis of how the product is delivered. So if we're looking at production, how the product is delivered. includes communicating information to recreation facility users, and allocating the human and physical resources and other elements critical to delivery of the product. So we should understand that allocating human and physical resources. So depending on where staff are needed. So if we're talking about the example that the one group had about the burst pipe in the facility, now there you may have to allocate your human and physical resources at that time differently than after the game was over. So at that point, there was probably a few people being pulled from different areas. If it was in the maintenance area, you know, how do you shut off this pipe that is, you know, burst? You know, how can we, you know, clean the people up, get them showers or whatever they needed, get them some clean clothing from the concessions, you know, from the merchandise area. Maybe they gave them that, who knows? They got them into a private booth as well. So, you know, pulling your resources from one spot and allocating them to another was important there. And support represents activities that take place behind the scenes by personnel who are typically not in contact with facility users. Support includes essential activities that are critical to the success of the product. So we know, or we should understand, that the support would be a lot of the facility staff that you don't see in the facility. There'll be times during this course that I'll give you some really good examples of that when we get more into the into facility staff. So in facility support continued, internal support systems take place within the organization. Many organizations employ staff members to handle support duties. So we would think that Georgian, the City of Barrie, Rogers Center, any larger places, so clerical support, so people helping off, clerical support could also be called office administration. Just put that right in there. Administrator. Payroll and benefit management. So your a lot with your HR department will look after this, payroll and benefit. You might have a whole department just on payroll. Communications, your marketing and communications would be part of the support. Put marketing in here too. Bookkeeping would be your accounting. Supply purchasing and distribution and mail service. Now this is probably a lower level. Okay, and then we look at, so that's support. So that was internal. When we're looking at internal, we look at internal compared to external. Now, internal and external support does change from organization to organization. So here, there's legal services, medical assistance, accounting, and consultants. So this could be internal as well. Accounting could be internal or external. And when you're looking at support, possibly, you know, payroll and benefit management is external. So it could be a mix depending on what that organization decides to do and the size of them. The smaller they are, the more external support systems they have. The larger they are, the more internal ones they have. And we have delivery operations auxiliaries. Both core product extensions and ancillary spaces are considered auxiliaries of facilities. Core product extensions are spaces in the facility that generate revenue. We know that. We've talked about that. And the ancillary, we're not going to go through that again because we've talked about that lots. Delivery operations for maintenance. So we have, we're looking at production support, auxiliary, and maintenance. Maintenance is the last one here. For delivery operations, maintenance is keeping facility and equipment in proper and safe condition. So again, let's look back at that pipe that burst. possibly, that facility had been empty for more than a year. I guess maybe as of the capacity of having fans in it. And when they put the load in the building of that many people, and there could have been a blockage in a pipe, could have been an old pipe that just dried out and broke. Who knows what happened, but it happened, and it was probably because of the people that were in the facility that hadn't been in that facility for so long, and maybe maintenance just wasn't, maybe something dried up, who knows what happened. Maybe the regular maintenance wasn't done during that shutdown period. And as organizations increase in size, maintenance responsibilities increase proportionately, making this effort more complicated. Maintenance is a huge part of the facility operations, which we'll talk about quite often in this class. Maintenance, really the facility can't operate without a well-functioning maintenance area. Okay, we'll jump down to here. And we are looking now at managing resources. So administrative functions and delivery operations rely heavily on resources. Most obvious management resources in recreation environment are employees, money, equipment, and facilities. The largest one, we'll talk about each one of those four, and I'll just touch just right now. I know it's 10 o'clock. We did take the one break at 9:13, so won't be taking a break right now. We'll probably wait a bit longer for a break, and maybe we'll just finish these slides, and that might be it for today. Okay. Employees, so managing resources. Employees are one of your crucial resources. The capacity to influence employees to fulfill their obligation in the product or delivery of a product. Now, managing your employees is probably one of your most difficult functions as a manager in a facility. It doesn't matter if it's a recreation facility or if it's in a accounting firm. Managing your employees is definitely a challenge. This process is called staffing, and it includes the recruitment, hiring, training of appropriate people to facilitate the requirements of a successful product. And money might be maybe the second most difficult resource to manage. You have a limited amount of it, and you have your resources of the amount of cash that you can use for different things. If it's staffing, or if it's for maintenance, or if it's for equipment, you have different things that the money is used for. A source of income or an expenditure. So we have money coming in as an income and going out as an expense. Money is a critical component of the system, and the management of money, which is referred to as budgeting, must be planned in advance. Money is a complicated resource that often requires specialized applications and processes. Definitely specialized. And Georgian has a management system just for the finances that all employees have access to. The third thing is equipment. Equipment includes any item, mechanical or otherwise, that enhances the production and delivery process. Equipment is an extensive resource that carries a great deal of responsibility, including purchasing, inventory, receiving, storing, distributing, maintaining. Equipment is definitely something that requires a lot of effort and knowledge when you're purchasing. And then managing facilities. So overall, the recreation facility can be an indoor or outdoor structure and vary greatly. Facilities are initially the most expensive element in the provision of a recreation product. I would say the initially, it says initially are the most expensive, because after facilities, what do you think becomes the larger expense if you had to pick one? Employees or equipment? What do you think? Employees or equipment are the larger expense if you're running a facility? Drop that into the chat. equipment for Oriana? Could be the employees. Serkan says employees. Okay, we're getting a poll going here. Brendan says employees. Everyone's got to have a comment here. Jack says employees. Okay, we got 3-1 for employees right now. Well, I would probably say, depending on another one for employees, depending on the facility, I think employees would probably be your largest expense. Only because I would have to say your ongoing expense. Possibly when you outfit a facility, initially your equipment or facility might be higher expense, but the employees tend to be the highest expense. And as we're looking at our 4 different things for managing these different resources of employees, money, equipment, and facilities, it will be a week that we talk about each one of those in depth. Okay. And we have different types of facilities that we aren't going to go into groups to do this right now, but we have indoor, outdoor, summer, and winter facilities. So if you think about your indoor and outdoor facilities, there are lots of different examples of indoor, outdoor facilities. And then we have lots of examples of summer and winter facilities. And then I just want to help you understand that, your winter facilities could be indoor or outdoor, and same with your summer facilities could be indoor or outdoor. Many of your winter facilities, when you're thinking about indoor facilities, you can use them in the summer or the winter, and your outdoor facilities similarly. But if it's probably more outdoor facilities in the summer than in the winter. Okay, and then we have our understanding marketing. The effort to reach an audience to deliver them a product is called marketing. So one of the questions in assignment 1 is asking you about marketing. Okay, so this applies to that. This process involves assessing a targeted population and developing a strategy to create product awareness and availability. What is one way? Sorry, just looking at the chat here because sometimes I put back and forth. Okay, so Oriana, does equipment not sometimes require insurance? Insurance, it possibly could provide require insurance. I would think more it's the facility has the insurance and then the equipment is covered in that insurance document. So it would be part of the facility document that may also list the equipment. So let's look at a fitness center, and we have, let's say, $250,000 in equipment in the facility. That would be included in the facility insurance. And the equipment, so that's why I would say it does require insurance, but it's probably listed in your facility insurance. And then Serkan is mostly part of the lease. I'm not sure. I guess you're thinking about I'm not sure what that statement is for. Sorry, if it's the equipment or the insurance that you're talking about there. What was I asking? Okay, I got sidetracked there. Marketing for the equipment. Okay, the lease. So you can, for equipment, for fitness facilities, some fitness facilities do lease the equipment. Some purchase. Georgian College has purchased. Many other facilities would lease it. So if you went to Planet Fitness or those, they may actually lease their equipment because it's so expensive to buy it for those companies. So if you purchased a franchise for one of those, they probably have a lease agreement for those equipment that they have on their site. Many other equipment is leased as well. Vehicles are many times leased. organizations use, if it's for plowing snow or for cutting grass, like some of the lawn equipment is also leased. So we'll get into equipment much deeper in one of the other classes. But my question that I wanted to ask everyone is about marketing, and what are some ways that a organization markets to potential users? Can somebody give me something in the chat? Social media. Okay, social media marketing for these days. Flyers, posters, very good. Okay, we're getting on the right track here. Got to be some other examples here. Media outlets. Okay, good. Hosting events could be definitely marketing your product. Yes. Hosting events would bring people into your facility, and it could be new users. So that would be something that would bring possibly a new fitness center member in or something like that. Also, I know we mentioned social media, but we could break that down into smaller areas. Could be the web page. It could be different types of social media. If you're on campus, it could be the bulletin boards that are posted up. It could be your electronic your TV system around the campus, or there could be direct mail outs. So I know you put flyers and posters. There also could be a mail, all the junk mail you receive in possibly at your home. So those are all other different ways of marketing. So here in marketing, there are 4 P's, which I probably will ask you on the test. All right, another hint here. So make a folder for this class, facility operations. Every time I mention that the question will be on the test, just drop it in a folder. Okay, so you will have a good list of these by the time the test comes around. So here we have the product, marketing, the promotion, the price, and the place. So marketing is a complete field on its own. It can be divided into 4 P's. Okay. The product, it could be your core product, right? And then how are you promoting your core product? And what's the price of that? And what is the place? What facility? Okay, now we have setting goals. This desired outcome or goal can be thought of in broad terms as service-oriented or profit-oriented. These categories are not exclusive. Okay, and service-oriented or profit-oriented. Now that's 2 distinct areas that we need to understand. Service-oriented management in the service category exists when the organization provides a meaningful experience for users without the incentive or profit. These types of service are often delivered in the public sector. So public sector are service-oriented. So when thinking public sector, can someone tell me what an example of a public sector, an example of an athletic recreation facility, a athletic facility in a public sector? What would be an example of this? YMCA. Thank you, Brendan. Very good. That is public sector. There's all sorts of other examples that I'm sure people can think of here. Some of you can tell me what a public sector facility is, an example. Municipal run community centers. Perfect, Matthew. Exactly what I'm thinking. So you live in Barrie, you live in Orillia, you live in Toronto, wherever you're living, you pay taxes, possibly if you own property taxes. If you own a building or a house or a home or whatever, apartment, maybe not apartment, a condo, a library is also typically a public facility that could be considered a recreation facility. So even if it's you or your spouse or your parents or people that own the building are paying taxes, that part of those taxes go to your municipal run community centers. So in Barrie, we're looking at East Bayfield, Holly, Eastview, Allendale, Rec Center. All those different ones are municipal run. Now, how about if I ask you about, you can go to the next one. We're talking about profit-oriented recreation facility management systems in a private sector provides products based on profit-oriented goals. In private management system, all efforts are focused on the bottom line, a result that hopefully shows a net profit. Now, please give me some examples of private facilities that we are familiar with. LA Fitness, ski resorts. Very good. Yes, that is correct. Ski resorts typically are, I'm trying to think if there's any public ones. LA Fitness, good. What other sort of private recreation facilities can we think of? Well, we have lots of people in the class that must be able to think of a private facility.
Like private skateboard parks that you have to pay for.
That's right. Yes, that's it, John. I haven't been a mountain bike. I know there's some private indoor mountain bike park. I think it's called, it's in Markham. Who can help me with that one? Privately owned rinks, golf courses.
Yeah, Joyride 150, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Joyride 150. Always wanted to go, but never been. Have you been there, John?
When I was a kid and it was like just starting out, yeah, I was really small. Now it's way too advanced for me. I wouldn't step foot. It's too dangerous.
Okay, good to know. Maybe I'll stay away from it.
Yeah.
Morgan, thank you for golf courses. We also do see that some golf courses, depending on where you live, could be municipal as well. I know London and Niagara Falls both have municipal golf courses, but typically they're private and profit-oriented. Privately owned rinks. Now, Ian, can you give me an example of a privately owned rink?
Would that be like a university or college rink? Or,
Yeah, the Vaughan Iceplex, a university or college would definitely be a private one. So if you're looking at like the U of T rink or what other one would have one on campus? I'm just thinking of, I know York has one on campus. I think they're private though.
Any university that has a varsity hockey team.
Yeah, like Waterloo. They all have different rinks. The Vaughan Iceplex. Good. Okay. I'm also thinking of Magna Center. Is Magna Center municipal or private?
It's municipal. That's Newmarket, right?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure because of the name. I didn't know if it was just the naming rights that they have on it.
No, that's
okay. And also when we're looking at our large pro sports arenas, BMO, Rogers Center, they're all private as well. So we are looking at those profit-oriented goals for the private. Not to say that the public sector or the municipal ones aren't profit oriented. They are still conscious of the accounting and the purchases and the expenses, but they're not driven by making a profit. They would be more driven to break even on their budget and not to go over and cost the taxpayers more money. And some camping areas, so Sirkin correct, maybe not the provincial campgrounds, but all your what are the camping ones called that are all over the city, the country? It's the ones you drive in and somebody knows this. Private camping. When someone help me here, what's the private campgrounds that are all over the place? KOA. That's what it was. KOA. Campgrounds of America. KOA. That's what that stands for. Okay. All right. Well, we are at the end of our slides for today. It's 10:19. We've had some okay participation from some of you, which is good. I'm hoping for more participation as we go on this semester. I know sometimes it's easier to communicate in small groups, and that's why we do break out into smaller working groups each week to have some good conversation, and we will continue to do that. Thanks, Ian, for dropping that in there. So this week, we will be, right now we're completed our slides, we're done our class for today. It's 10:19, coming up to 10:20. And is there any questions before I stop recording?
Actually, Mike, I just had a quick question about the ski resorts one. Like Blue Mountain is public, right? Anyone can go, but like a ski resort like Craigleith is private, where you have to like pay an annual fee. So what would that kind of fall? What would those kind of fall under?
So good question, Matthew, where we're looking at public and private in the relationship to who owns it. So we're looking at Blue Mountain. I don't think it's owned by the town of
No,
Blue
it's owned
Mountain.
by Alterra Resorts, which is American, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so in that case, even though it's public, anybody can go, it's still a private ski hill. So like Craigleith or Ski Club of Toronto or something like that, which is private, and you have to join the club to go. So those sort of on that level where they're both profit oriented, although it's like if it's Barrie Golf and Country Club compared to Allendale Golf Club, like they're both, you have to pay to go. The Barrie Golf Club, you have to have a membership, just like Craigleith or Dunshire or whatever other one. So you could still go if you had enough money, but it's private. So they are both considered privately run and not a public facility in the eyes of who owns it.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so what I'll do, if there's no other questions, I'm going to stop the recording. I will also stay on the line till everyone leaves in case there are some questions that anyone has after we finish. Okay, so it's been good seeing everyone this week. We know we have the assignment 1 due next Friday, so get working on that and message me if you have any questions about it. All right, see ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.